Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome to another week in Web3. And thank you guys for joining us on the Web3 Network, NFT Live. We're getting after it. Do you see it already? Do you already see it? I thought you were already giving me shit.
I see it now. Now that yeah. That's a nice one you got there on the.
Nice.
Took
You should see the other
My guy over here starting fights with buildings.
I thought I could take him.
Make us proud, Q.
Oh, all right. Like we said, another week in Web3. We're here. It feels a little bit like we're back. We got a Dutch auction mint at 2 ETH that apparently people think is going to sell out. Feels like we're back.
The other thing that we didn't hit on with this Azuki shit going down tomorrow is, man, they are front running Ether hard. Like I think
kept trying to bring this project up.
Yeah, well, Ether's been hyped up. It's like one of the only big high quality anime projects that's been hyped up for a long time that everybody's expecting to do really well. And I think they said, yo, we got a high quality anime project that we can launch before y'all's asses get all that money, all that liquidity, take it down, do it the way that we want without having y'all as some kind of benchmark that we now have to look at, dictate the standards of the expectations and like do it however we want. You know what I mean? Like that they're front running Ether hard. And I didn't really.
Yeah, we never actually dived into Ether. Like you were like, hey, we should touch on it. I'm like, oh yeah, tomorrow, let's do it. And we just like always got swamped with another story, of course. But yeah, I'd love to dive into Ether and see like the similarities there. But if you're here tuning in, that is going to be the biggest story of the day was Azuki Elementals. Heavy Metal is like 3 days from now. And me and Gifted took a coordinated bet here on the heavies last week. I still think we're in a good spot. I know like technically we would have done better if we got into Oni Force, but it's not the end of the week yet. We can't look at this on a rolling basis, if you will, Gift.
Sure, too early to say. I'll stick with that for now.
So we got into Heavy Metals at 0.8. We could have gotten into Azuki at 1 point. I wish 0.4.
1.2, 1.3 ish.
So yeah. Azuki's or Oni Forces are a little bit up. Heavy Metals are, I think, like 0.05 down or something like that. So we're not that far down, and we still have what we think is going to be some hype and some alpha dropped there on the Heavy Metal front. But dude, Heavy Metals dropping on the 29th it's going to be huge. Like it's a huge also, either way.
How does the Azuki drop also factor into this? Because right now, you know, one of the things that I was talking about is how the narrative of Azuki being maybe the real competition for Yuga and Bored Apes right now, and being sort of like maybe a more Eastern oriented, Eastern focused PFP project that can actually compete with the more Western focused Bored Ape IP. That narrative is huge for them right now. And you have now these two mammoth players that are kind of both vying for being like the PFP right now, dropping massive drops in the same week.
Yeah.
Like literally going head to head this week.
The good thing is I don't think the Heavy Metal piece is like a mint. So I think the liquidity would be spread around if they were trying to do it at the same time. But I mean, the implications if the game is good or the implications if the game is bad. You know what I mean? Like Yuga Labs right now in Bored Apes, like I wouldn't say they're like hanging on by a thread by any means. The market cap of all the projects together is just astronomical. They do crazy amounts of volume. But if it goes poorly, we have been on a consistent decline across the board for the whole IP, the whole company.
High stakes. Stakes.
In the short term, right? In the short term. But man, it's 3 days from now. I'm getting stoked. We've got our heavies ready to roll. So it's a good week. It's a good week. Anyways,
week.
if you're tuning in here, Twitter or YouTube, we appreciate you guys showing up early. We just pressed live. We're gonna touch on the Azuki Elementals here. Ape Fest updates as well. Pepe, I've got Pepe on here just because I want to throw a gift at a bone here with his Pepe
Wow.
bags. So
thanks, big guy.
we're gonna touch on that. We're also gonna hit like open editions, OPEPin. I would be remiss if I didn't show this tweet off GIF. We touch a lot on Gutter Cat Gang in maybe in a more negative sense. Maybe some negative headlines for the most part from this group, but we got a full on like straight up awesome announcement here. This is on Sportscenter. This is the LaMelo Ball new drop with Gutter Cat Gang on Sportscenter. You can see there. It says thoughts on LaMelo's latest signature shoe.
Dude, you know what? I think somebody from the gang is watching our show, man.
You think so?
Just saying, yeah, because like one of the clips that we published was of me saying like, what it is more about what are they doing to get this LaMelo Ball piece out to the Web2 audience? How do they market that? That's what's going to matter, really. There you go. It's getting SportsCenter to talk about it. That's huge. So yeah, shout out to the GCG paying attention. And you know what? I saw another tweet that was like the cats are down bad, and it had both Gutter Cats and Cool Cats next to each other, both sitting around like 0.65. The cats are down bad in general, but you can't say that they're not still doing shit. You know what I mean? They're still doing stuff, and that's big. How many NFT projects are getting posted by SportsCenter right now?
If somebody from the gutter is watching, it's a sports NFT collection, like community. That's basically what the Gutter Cat Gang should lead into. Do fantasy football, do collectibles, do partnerships with other athletes. Maybe that's been the plan the whole time, and it's not just coming to fruition. But this is where you guys should lean into, because there's a ton of crossover between people that love sports and love NFTs. I mean, it's the same. The demographic is pretty identical in a sense. So I do have one thing I want to show off for housekeeping. That is going to be let me make sure I've got it. So I've shilled the episode with Ralph. I've got a giveaway. So one of the things we were talking with Black Dave, hopped on to the GM Web3 morning show this morning and was talking about providing value, man. And I think it's super important that we always kind of look at that when we're talking about the daily content that we do. Because again, it's tough to like jam pack a daily show with just the every day bringing the most value possible when you're doing it on a 24-hour clip like that. But I think like doing more things that we can give back to you guys would be awesome. So I'm gonna do this giveaway while we're live for you guys today, but it's gonna be centered around Ralph's episode here on the Wild Wild Webs. And I know, GIF, you were talking about having listened to this as well. I think it might be amazing.
It's an amazing episode.
You think so?
Super valuable. Oh yeah. I mean, I knew it would be because it's you, Nifty Q, and Ralph. It's you and Ralph. So I knew it would be a great episode, but it's absolutely phenomenal. Props again to you, to this guy. Smash the like for this guy doing the Lord's work, actually creating valuable, interesting content, and not just dragging up a bunch of nonsense drama on Twitter, which is what most people do right now. Because yeah, it's a difficult balance that we try and do this every day where, yes, there's like weird things popping off and drama that like, we want to stay up to date with like what's the latest meta or the drama, but also try and make sure that we're focused on substance, and sometimes we get dragged too much into talking about like what's Franklin doing, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Like, who fucking really cares at the end of the day? I mean, yes, it's important when like Machi dumps all of his apes, like, you know what I mean? Like this is the balance, right? It's like, you have to know what's important to cover and try and stay up to date with like the space without getting sucked into the nonsense.
Absolutely. And part of that is our ability to interact with people who are in the community that actually have the right intentions as well, right? Like that's what we're curating here. So Knox, it's good to see you. Our Vibe, our tribe. Omar's here. Marty's saying, I bet Ether flops hard. And Delon is saying, hey guys, hey, what's going on? All right.
Is that Marty with some pre-mint FUD there?
I actually,
no
look,
way.
I actually am okay with this take. I want to look into this project. Let's just pull it up, man.
You're okay with the take before looking into it. Sure. That makes sense.
Well, I agree with the sentiment that I remember looking at Ether for 30 seconds and the art is relatively similar. So them front running, I agree with that take.
I think I would say that with Azuki front running this and taking all the like a lot of the hype around like a high quality anime project, that they have a much better chance of flopping now. But I don't know that it's going to flop. It just might not get nearly the same amount of attention or it have the same impact that it would have had.
All right, we're gonna jump into Azuki really quick. Another thing we touched with Black Dave on was because he's such a big anime fan. I was like wondering, was this even good anime? Right? Like, is it? People are saying like all over the map saying, "Hey, this is good. This is not good." Yada yada yada. I didn't see many takes that said this is not good anime, but another follow-up, yeah, another follow up that I wanted to ask him was like, what? How much is too much? Like, we're clearly moving into this anime meta. I think Azuki and Oniforce definitely like caught the first wave, although it was severely muted compared to what I think we're about to see with everybody launching like different anime animation. I mean, even you could even claim Bored Ape with the Legends of Mara is doing a little bit of that, right? So I almost wanted to ask him, was like, how much is too much anime? But we didn't have him for that.
I don't think if you're okay. First of all, if you're creating super high quality art and good storytelling, I don't know that there's any limit for that. I think the difference is when you're just creating a bunch of mediocre bullshit. You know, that's when you start to hit a limit real quick where you're like, nobody wants any of this. Like, there's no purpose for any of this. So I think if Oniforce, if Azuki, and even Ether, or maybe even Genkai, Bored Ape, if any of these projects can be creating top tier AAA studio quality storytelling and anime, we're nowhere near the limit for that. We haven't even scratched the surface on what that could look like with creating globally recognized anime IP out of, you know, Web3 native communities. Like, we're nowhere near the top. Also, you know what, real quick, shout out Delon. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Hey guys, shout out to you. Marty, of course, Benja, Omar, all the homies jumping in here. Great to see y'all. And it's also real quick. Sorry, it's important to remind everybody really quickly. This is not financial advice. Information was found publicly on the internet. Opinions shared on this episode are solely of the Web3 team, and all information is public domain, of course. So please always do your own research. DYOR, that's what we say, because you should. Whether you do or you don't, we're not going to follow up on you. That's up to you.
All right, I've been on the Ether website for like the last 2 minutes. I think the term delay is definitely one that's being thrown around a lot on their platform alone, right? So you're saying coming soon for the shop. There's also delay is probably the wrong word, but it's not ready to be live. You can see here as well, coming soon. So multiple sections of essentially their platform are not ready to roll. Do we have like a timeline around Ether? And
yeah. So real quick, let me go pull this up.
So yeah, Marty's saying it's the truth. You have an NFT show and haven't looked into it because it's gonna flop and didn't even really get your attention. Gift tried. He tried his best. Ether's whole hype equals delayed mint forever. That is all.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
I mean, and you know what? I have to also say, Marty's a smart dude. We give him a lot of, we mess with each other. We give each other a lot of stuff, you know, because we know that he can take it and he's got a good sense of humor. But he gets a lot of things right. So, you know, as much FUD as he throws, as much negativity as he sometimes can bring, he's often got some smart takes. So
he does look, the natural reaction between perma bulls and perma bears, because that's where Marty finds himself these days, is going to be what you see live happening here on the show every day. It's like the battle that plays out in real time, but we still love the guy. So
yeah, and so they are supposed to launch. Oh, where is it? Did they do it? Oh, here it is. In 4 days. They're supposed to launch in 4 days.
My God.
On June 29th.
Wait, when is Azuki's?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
So 3 days apart. I would not be surprised to see Ether delaying.
Yeah. All right, we're coming live to you guys on Twitter as well as YouTube right now. I'm going to do my best to share out the episode as we just get started here. But again, we're going to touch on this Azuki Elementals. Would you mint this at 2 ETH? It's a Dutch auction. So are we minting at 2 ETH? There's also a couple of cool Dune analytics dashboards that I love to look at. One of them was following the amount of wallets that are able to purchase at 2 ETH the elementals that are from Beans and Azuki holders. So if you're following that, like the max amount that might be sold in that first 2 waves, which is like 0.5 seconds, by the way, as well. So that's going to be a whole nother thing to watch.
Yeah, gas wars, look out. But the interesting thing here is like you can put in your price 2 ETH or below, and then it like whatever it hits at, if you get into it, it'll be, you'll pay the bottom number. I liked Black Dave's prediction. I think it'll be around the price of Beans, which is like 1.3. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 1.4. Maybe people get, trigger happy and they want to go a little bit before. So like 1.5 even. I wouldn't be surprised at like 1.5. But I think somewhere between 1.3 to 1.5 ETH is probably where these things go.
Okay. All right. We're going to jump into this Azuki story momentarily. If you were watching NFT Live last week, before we get into this, if you were watching, me and Gitta took a calculated bet here on heavy metals. I'm going to look at some of the NFT price floors throughout the episode. It looks like that bet currently, so if we go down to heavy metals and Oni Force, that bet currently is not paying off. We're at 0.74. But only about 0.05 or 0.06 away from our entry. And then Onis are still doing well, man. Like consistently one of the best performers here in this, whatever this wave is in the bear market, whatever cycle we're at. So currently down on that, although again, we're going to touch on some heavy metal pieces. I was able to catch the other space, FM, and you can get some alpha there. I think we're still in good shape with this one, because what I really didn't want is post that trailer to go down to like 0.5 levels. Like that would be an area where it's like, we still might be able to come back to, entry price or even above that. But the fact that we're almost at our entry price before they release any information about what the hell the heavy metals even do is really good in my opinion, because I think there's going to be a run. So we're still monitoring that. I would love to like name that segment. We were talking about having like a 1 ETH challenge, but other than that, I mean, we're watching Bitcoin consistently over the weekend, doing pretty well. It's above 30K. ETH's at 1,800. We were following some. We need to follow some other projects that I can talk about, because I always want to like scroll immediately down to ApeCoin, but that's my bias. Solana is doing okay in this environment. Not there's some like tokens here, some ERC20s or some fungible tokens here that are up 20-30%. Not including, or I guess I should include Pepe in that, because Pepe is up like 100% in the last 14 days.
It corrected down a bit. I think maybe like 50%, something like that. Pepe is definitely woken back up, and I'm still extremely bullish on Pepe. I'm still bullish on Turbo too. I just don't know what that looks like in the short term. But yeah, Pepe, I don't know. Again, nothing financial advice. Y'all already know, like, this shit's so fucking risky. This is like the most risky shit you can be gambling on ever. So don't do anything with your money that you can't afford to lose here. I just think Pepe is going to be a big winner in the next couple months, next year. I don't know.
Yeah, one that we've been covering as well and following is Biao. So Biao coin here. We also didn't have a winner on the Bitcoin ETF. BlackRock ETF still has not been approved. We're still kind of pending on that front, but one of us is going to get a Biao fam NFT.
It might be pending for a while. Like this might take a while. But you know what we haven't mentioned yet? That's actually massive news. Like should have talked about it this morning as a follow-up to all this. The SEC approved a Bitcoin ETF. It's a leveraged Bitcoin ETF, but the SEC actually approved a Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah, Quantum Variant posted this in the GM Web3 morning show as well. Hong Kong's latest move, signifying like the largest bank, HSBC, to offer Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs to customers. So this China narrative has some legs, man. I would love to follow. Like I gave you the opposite take from Dovey Wan, who was saying like this China narrative is like kind of a sellout or a fake out. Obviously, there are people in the opposite camp as well. So
I think it's just not as black and white as anything ever is, right? I just think it's like it's gray because there's still a lot of issues over there with crypto in mainland China, but they've opened up Hong Kong, which is the way in, right? So it's like things are going to start moving forward. It's just may not be as swift and smooth as you might want it to be. Like nothing's black and white or as easy or take as fast as you ever want it to be. But here's what I see happening. All of this ETF momentum is actual momentum, like very bullish momentum. That's what I think, because when you start to get a few of these cracks coming through, and then there's like one or two products that like a specific bank or a specific institution is able to provide, then everybody's going to want to go into that. And then what you've got is the competition and the survival of all these big fund managers. They're getting hit up by all their constituents and all their clients saying, yo, when do I get Bitcoin ETFs? And then they all have to fucking get into the game because all the big money, all the institutional investors, they all want that new product. So that's why this is actual momentum, to start to see these like drops happening, because then it's just like, at a certain point, all that money, the dam's going to crack, right?
Yeah.
And like a bunch of them are going to have to offer ETFs. Otherwise, they lose business.
Yeah. It was the classic pomp take, right? To be like, this is basically you have somebody dip their toe in the water, and then if they find any success, everybody's going to join. And that's what you saw that a little bit, honestly, in 2021. And I don't know about 2020, maybe it was 21. But it was an institutionally led run as opposed to 17, which was mainly just people just retail buying on Binance, like Binance and Coinbase. It was just like a FOMO led run. This 2021 run was institutionally led. And then I think this honestly could be even more so. You're talking about the ETFs like leading to way more institutional buying there. So we're going to touch on Azuki here in just a moment. Quantum Variant saying Optimism and Render Token are good to watch. Render Token. Render.
Yeah, that was a new one that popped off recently. I've looked into it briefly, but I don't really remember. But it has some interesting utility or protocol.
Advancing the next generation of rendering and AI tech. Sign me up. All right. Well, maybe not today. I would love to talk with that team. Maybe we could get somebody on, talk some protocols on the Wild Wild Web or something like that. So we're still riding Pepe then on GiftEd's side. We're still riding Turbo. We will keep up with those plays as we go, including the heavy metal plays, man.
Super Arsenal frogs in the chat. Yo, drop a frog emoji in the chat if you're here for the Pepe army. We out here.
All right, the biggest story of the day belongs to Azuki and Elementals. This is one we have never really touched. I don't think we've ever got into Beans. We never got into the OG collection either. The Zagabond thing kept us away. I think both of us away for a while. We're just like not into that, into kind of supporting, the situation there. And I just never got involved with Azuki. Clearly, that was a huge missed opportunity. They're sitting at 14 ETH, I think one of the largest NFT collections now in the entire space. So whether this is a win, whether people are getting in, we'll kind of touch on that here in the next probably 20 minutes. So Gift, what's up, man?
Yeah, so this is dropping tomorrow morning. So it's happening really quick. And the mint itself is going to be super fast paced. Again, there's like 10-minute increments for people with like Beans and Azuki. It's kind of wild. I don't really fuck with that. I kind of think that's crazy and a little bit shitty for the collectors, like especially on the gas front. But like, I don't know. I know they're trying to create FOMO and hype, and so they're trying to create a moment, and I get that. But like we saw what that did with Other Side, and it was actually really damaging to the whole space.
So, there's multiple different things we could touch on here. One being, again, what happens in a situation where the mint goes awry. That we did see that with the Other Side. I thought Black Dave's take about the liquidity in this space being tested with this drop is interesting. Everybody's saying, "Hey, we're in a bear market," and for sure we are. But if these guys can pull off a 1.5 to 2 ETH mint for a 10,000 piece collection, the liquidity is and interest is still there. It's still there, and if it goes really well, this is where you start to get the flywheel going in a certain direction, because that money flows into other projects. It does. If you have this mint go super well, GIF, then you're able to you buy it for 1.5, you can sell it for 3. People are moving that liquidity to other projects.
Yes, but it still feels a lot like hot potato to me right now because there's not new people coming in. So it'll be interesting to see if this is the type of thing that gets enough attention and momentum that it actually wakes up some dormant wallets. It gets people that have been sitting out for the last year in. You know what I mean?
That's a good take. I like that. So another piece. So we had a resident. I keep bringing up Black Dave because, one, he's a great individual in this space, but two, because he specifically is a really big anime fan. That was another question we pretty much brought him into the spaces for, was, is this good anime? Like, I watched a lot of anime growing up. I lived in Hawaii for like 6-7 years, and it's very Asian focused, that culture, and watched a ton of anime growing up. Gundam Wing was awesome. I used to watch Inuyasha. Toonami had like the best like anime run with like Samurai Jack. I remember was one I really got into. But anyways, I'm not like the biggest anime fan today, and I know that there are people that dive heavy into just watching and knowing exactly what the next cool thing in that sector is. So basically he told us this looks great, right? I think he mentioned the last airbender as one that's actually like what she's doing now, water bending, that it really signaled to him. He was like, oh, this reminds me of that anime. So, and whether the last airbender is anime is a debate, but that is at least his take from a knowledgeable anime fan.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Black Dave's amazing, and he came on and gave it his blessing. He basically said it's legit, the studio behind it's legit, and he's interested in it. So definitely another positive, positive review of at least the initial teasers that they've been putting out.
So this was what GIF was talking about. This was what GIF was talking about with the mint details. So the mint details are on the website. I can link the site as well for y'all. But basically, the Elementals will go on sale June 7th, 9 a.m. at Pacific Standard. There will be 3 phases for Azuki's, Beans, and then the public. I've got a pretty good Dune dashboard that we can look at here in a moment to say if any are going to be left for the public. All right, so at 9, Azuki holders get to mint 1 per Azuki. Beans then get to mint 1 elemental per bean. So to me, I think that it's interesting that they have the same exact amount. Like if you look at the CyberKongz ecosystem, the OGs actually get 2. They actually get to claim 2. It's not even a mint, it's a claim.
Yeah.
And then the babies get to actually claim 1. So the fact that Azuki holders get to start this run out. I know that there's some crossover, obviously a huge amount of crossover between these holders bases. But
my question up front was like, is this utility? If you've got to spend, you got to spend X amount of money and hold on to your bags to be in this shit, and then on top of that, like you have to spend 1.52 ETH to get into this. Like, is that utility? I mean, I don't know, man. But then the complexity chasm, the dilution starts to come into question here. Like, realize, like, look how complicated this already looks with the existing ecosystem that they have. Every time you do something like this, you are exponentially complicating every future thing that you have to do. Because now you have to explain to each one of your constituent, holders in each collection, why you're doing each different thing and how that benefits them. So, some hot take that we were reading, I think it was from Quit, was saying like, oh, dilution isn't even a thing. It's like, yeah, it is. Like it dilutes, if nothing else, it dilutes your focus.
Yeah.
But that is what dilution is, right? You're trying to focus value in specific assets. And when you've got 3 collections now with 50,000 different assets and 10 to 20,000 unique holders, and they're all vying for your attention, and they all have different value hierarchies and things that need to happen in mechanics within each collection, like, you cannot tell me that you are not at risk of falling deep down the gutter, the complexity chasm, the complexity gutter, maybe we should call it that, and then like making a bunch of people upset and like eventually hurting yourself. But it remains to be seen, right? There are projects like Yuga that have done a good job of retaining most of that value until recently,
but
right?
Even
until
Yuga,
recently.
Even Yuga, we're seeing, dude, I agreed with Whale.Swoosh's take about fragmentation. I think we are seeing a ton of fragmentation in that ecosystem. Even Yuga Labs, one of the biggest in the space, is seeing a shift in focus away from the Bored Apes and more towards a heavy metal, more towards the Codas, other sides, all of that stuff. And we see a little bit of the result. I'm not saying it's fully because of this fragmentation that Bored Apes are sitting at 37, but it doesn't help. Like I love the idea of like shift in focus because it's so true. Like but that means you have to do it right. Like you cannot fuck this shit up when you try to launch a second collection, because if your team can't sustain at a high clip, then you're screwed. Because if you're trying to run, like I would almost say like your team has to, what would your team have to increase in size to support another collection is kind of how I'm looking at it. You know what I mean? Like you can't stay the same size because you're now moving into a whole nother category of community that you have to support.
It's part of why it's so ballsy to be still doing it when we're in a bear market and there's not new people coming in too. This has the potential to drain a lot of liquidity from the space, not just by Azuki, but also the gas and the miners. But also as we were looking at this, it reminded me of when I was trying to get into Doodles. What I see is like, there's going to be some people that get absolutely wrecked. I don't know that everybody comes out of this feeling good. Because there's going to be people
alone are going to be astronomical when this mint goes live.
Yeah, there's going to be people that bought into Azuki high. There's going to be people that bought into Beans high. There's going to be people that spend a bunch of money on these. And there's going to be gas fees. There's just so many different places that you're having to spend a ton of fucking money to try and participate in this. I'll just be very shocked if everybody comes out of this like, hey, that was great. Good job, Azuki.
Okay, I have to bite my tongue a little bit here, GIF. Additionally, each Azuki was airdropped an unrevealed and locked elemental. So the Azuki holders actually got one. Okay, so Azukis get to the airdrop and the claim, and the Beans holders just get the claim. Also, in this, and this was covered multiple times, but I want to bring this up, is that each Azuki and Beans holder was dropped a Soulbound token as well. It looks like a commemorative piece here. I'm sure it will have some utility in the future. So I think they pulled this off pretty well with the Soulbound token, as well as at least providing a little bit of utility for the Azuki, the major collection.
So if there's only 10K and there's 5K Azuki holders, so there's only going to be 5K of these being minted. Is that what we're getting to? Okay, there's 4,600 owners. So just over 5K are going to be available then.
If each Azuki was dropped one, yeah, let's go through this right now. So what I have up here, and go to the top right-hand corner here if you're looking at this, is the amount of people that have 2 ETH in their wallet that also hold Azuki and Beans. Okay, so basically what they're saying is Azuki holders with buying power for an elemental and Beans holders with buying power for an elemental. So what we have here is 7,500 people that can buy straight up. That doesn't mean they are, but it's just giving us some data. So isn't this more than is going to be left available after each Azuki gets drop one?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're almost definitely going to sell out. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if it's around 1.5 ETH. But yeah, I think it's only about 5,500 instead of 10K. Have to sell out then if they already airdropped almost half. Dude, if you had multiple Azukis and you put them in different wallets, then you just fucking did really well on that. That's a good return. DP, I agree with DP's comment here saying it looks decent enough. The only way to know if it's good is to see the final product. That's very true. A lot of projects are able to pull off what gaming studios do, which is where they, hype ultra cinematic trailers, and then a lot of times the final product is not nearly as good as what they marketed, and so you really never know until the final project is released. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is pretty good quality. I don't think they're going to skimp given the amount of effort and hype that they put on it, but we'll see.
Let's watch the hype trailer real quick because it's about a minute long. Let's see what we can get out of it here. They kicked ass with this trailer. Wow.
Yeah, it's lit. I have a question about the little rabbit character. Like if they're gonna have companions, that's one thing that I'm curious about. If there's gonna be some kind of unique companions included, if maybe like each elemental of the 4 elemental types will also have some kind of like rarities that include companions. It's kind of like what we did for Witchy GF. I'm sure some other projects have done similar things, so that could be pretty cool to see that. But yeah, I know there's apparently 4 different artists working on it. It would also be interesting to know if like each artist was responsible for one of the different elements, or how they work together. I don't know. But yeah, as far as the trailer goes, it's AAA. Like that's super, super dope. Very high quality.
Yeah, more storytelling elements here that I got to put up on my screen that I can share. This is essentially the garden, if you will, for Azuki. There's like different animations that pop up here. It's kind of fucking up as I go around this, but the other one I wanted to show off was this thread by Jack GK. He basically broke it down in a thread as far as it relates to elementals. So we could break this down real quick, and then we'll finish out on this Azuki front. I also want to run a poll on whether you'd purchase one of these at 2 ETH. The beans piece we hit on too, GIF. Like beans are almost assuredly going to dump after this, and I would say probably the main collection as well.
Yeah, and how many people get wrecked there, That's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like this is why I am probably going to sit this out. As much as I want to like jump in and try and be part of this, again, my PTSD from getting into Doodles and just absolutely fucking up that whole Doodles 2 duplicator, whatever. Dude, I lost my ass on that. And like, I feel like that's what I would do here if I just tried to jump in right now. Is there's just too much of this is moving too fast. There's too much money involved and too many moving parts. Like, again, it's entering into that complexity chasm. And Nox Darkness saying, I've left projects. I've gotten out of projects that got too complicated to keep up with. I'm sure I'm not the only one to do that. And yeah, man, it's a real problem. That's why we coined this term, complexity chasm. It's a real thing.
But to the NFT God point, I think we actually had an NFT God question. The NFT God point is like, what do they do other than continue to release different collection pieces and different NFTs? Like, even when it comes to heavy metal and other side, Yuga is going to have to continuously put out these items within their ecosystem. Like, that's the whole idea.
Well, until you have a replacement business model that is strong enough that, you know, it's generating enough revenue and value for the community, that then you can just kind of reinvest back into those existing collections. But yeah, like, how do you get to that point? When do you get to that point? Yuga hasn't even made it there yet, but I think that with other side, I think that's how they're trying to do that, right? It's like they get to a point where hopefully they've got a whole engine that's powered by all these different assets. And then maybe they start dropping small collections here and there for small DLC, right? It's just DLC at that point that can still be revenue within that larger game, but they don't need to necessarily launch like big PFPs or big characters or more of those. I don't know, man. It remains to be seen how they do this. And maybe that'll always be part of the model. But at a certain point, you know, it drives more value back to those OG assets because those are the OGs, and it's like having, you know, I don't know.
That last part is the part that they're trying to figure out. I will say the part that I think was at least half solved, or at least in some form or fashion solved, was the ape coin that was spent in Dookie Dash. That wasn't like a inflationary supply NFT that they made money on there. That was actually deflationary to ApeCoin. So there was a piece that was figured out there that was revenue for the company without inflating their supply. I guess you could maybe make the argument that the sewer passes and therefore then the heavy metals were inflationary to the supply, but I still think there was at least a mechanic to this that was even deflationary for the token in the ecosystem. So...
yeah, and the Super Arsenal was asking, what is your opinion on the influencer NFT God? I don't know. I don't know them well. I don't really know who it is or anything, so it's hard for me to make a hard judgment, other than I do think that, you know, they make some good takes, they do some good threads, and, like, you know, great at engagement farming. I think one of the critiques that we had on that sort of, you know, take about how corrupt everything is right now is that some of it feels very kind of short term. But at least on this one, you know, he kind of pivoted at the end to pointing out the real builders and that that's the future. So I did appreciate that. But, you know, some of this is just like understanding the existing sentiment and being able to sort of like capture that moment and, you know, and get the credit for saying what a lot of people feel at the time. So I kind of feel like that's what they're good at, you know? So I don't know. I don't really have a hot take other than I think that they do a good job of putting out some hot takes.
Yeah, I think there's some good threads that he's put out that I've agreed with. So I don't really have that overly like emotional take on NFT God. I think I agree with honestly a good amount of his takes that I see. All right, I'm gonna dive into this piece real quick because Jack, GK, and GIF, you're gonna love this as well. I don't know if you know the story behind how this was all revealed. Do you know the story about in Vegas? Dude, check this out.
I know it was in Vegas. I know it was in Vegas.
As the neon glow of Las Vegas flickers with promise, blah, blah, blah. The creative... check this out. Azuki didn't just host an event in Sin City. It's creating a paradigm shift from traditional venues like NFT NYC. It's a testament to the profound... Okay, so where is this? Okay, here it is. Holders found an unexpected surprise in their wallet. This was at the event. A pre-reveal NFT of Azuki's new Elementals collection. So at the event, it says, check your mother effing wallets. How cool is this? Like that was phenomenally pulled off to have this whole drop be first announced at an event for holders. Like supreme. That's legit.
That is legit.
Okay, so there's 20,000. What does it say?
Oh, okay.
The question though is, what exactly are elementals? I have to go back to the original website, make sure I understand that is correct. A 20,000 K anime-inspired NFT collection, seemingly drawing inspiration from the iconic Avatar series, amongst a number of others. Let me confirm this because I feel like that changes a lot of what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
20,000 to 2 ETH. This says 10,000.
I don't know, unless they're doing wonky math around like not including the ones that are airdropped in the mint. But that wouldn't make sense. You have a total supply of a collection. You should just talk about what's the total supply.
Yeah. Interesting. Is this beyond what was dropped to? No, I'm trying to figure this one out. Let us know in chat if you've got any takes on this, but this is saying 20,000. Maybe he gets corrected here in the thread. Seemingly drawing inspiration. Yep. 4 distinct rarity levels ignited a desire to own these unique pieces. This isn't a launch without strategy. Azuki has ingeniously utilized its existing ecosystem. Okay, a lot of that's fluff. So there's your utility, or at least that's the argument, GIF. Access to the pre-sale becomes a coveted privilege, nurturing a sense of community and loyalty. That works out for the founders, for sure. Not resting on its laurels, Azuki drops one of the most epic teaser trailers to hit the crypto Twitter screens.
This is the amount of simp. The amount of simp dripping off of this is a lot for me to handle. I get it. You think it's dope. I get it.
I'm just trying to take away any potential takes here.
Full mint details on image below. Yeah, I don't know.
So the take here, it's unlikely this ever gets to public sale, but the more possibility involves the whole space, a masterclass in engagement. Okay, guy. All right.
I mean, I'm not mad at them launching new collections to get more capital. But is anybody feeling like 2 ETH is a little bit extractive on an expansion project of this size in this market? Like, does anybody feel like it's a little bit extractive, or is everybody just like drinking the Kool-Aid at this point and they don't care?
Is it, like I said at the beginning when we started, this is a well-timed drop. Azuki is this is the most hype Azuki has ever had. Not just saying about this drop, even before this was announced at their event, Azuki was primed with a lot of energy. All right, I don't know if we're gonna be able to pull anything else from this.
Nah, this is just hardcore simping.
I wonder what the situation there was with the 20K supply. He might have just misspoke.
Possibly.
So I'm gonna run a poll here in chat and see what you guys think about this 2 ETH mint price, because that seems to be coming up a lot. So I'll run that. GIF, if you got anything to close out on Azuki here, hit it.
Smash the like. That's what I got. Help us out. Get that algo pumping, fam. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us today on another kickoff Monday for a big week in Web3 and crypto. It's going to be a big week for sure. It'll be exciting to see what kind of momentum we can get going with this Azuki drop in heavy metals, and also maybe the tide turning on crypto, institutional interest, Bitcoin. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we can keep some of that momentum from last week going through this week. But yeah, stoked to be with y'all. That's it.
If anything, the main question that will be answered with this drop is the amount of liquidity that can be sourced. I mean, you're talking 10,000 to ETH. I don't what total is that? Is that 20,000 ETH? 20,000 ETH.
I mean, but again, it's confusing if half of that's already been airdropped. Like, how many is actually going to mint? But yeah, it's a lot of money either way. And then again, you've got the gas wars and how much is getting burned out of the market.
Yeah, I would love to find an answer for this while we're live. If anybody knows, like what that total supply looks like with the airdropped elementals to the Azuki holders, that's sitting in the realm of like $30 million, unless my math is wrong. Like, let's say the Azuki hold, let's say they sell let's say they sell 5,000. I need to confirm this because I feel like we're just gonna get the math all wonky. So I'm not even gonna do it until we get a finalized situation on that airdrop and how it relates to total supply. All right, this is a good time to head into the NFT Go Bag Check. If you guys do know the answer, I'd love to come back to that. I mean, what's the final raise going to be on this drop? Because the number I just pulled up is massive. Wow. But we will get into the NFT Go Bag Check here. I want to get a look at the space in total, and NFT Go is the sponsor still on this month of the Web3 Network and NFT Live. We appreciate you guys a ton. We are jumping in here to check out the market overview, the bag check, but we also jump into the platform to use different tools that they've got. So we appreciate them. What's up?
Flubberoonie making a big bold prediction here saying Elementals will be below 1 ETH by September. So yeah, let us know if you got a big bold prediction on where does this end up a couple months from now.
Yeah, and we'll still cover a little bit of Azuki today and get to heavy metal and BAYC. Those seem to be the top stories from the week. But NFT Go Bag Check really quick. Market sentiment at 28, so cooler than we've seen it in days past, I guess. 30-day profit and loss is going to be forever on that bar. That bar hasn't moved what feels like since we started the NFT Go Bag Check. Blue chip index stronger against USD than ETH over the last 7 days. Looks like against ETH we kind of fell off. But yeah, we're still trending downwards, it seems like, on the blue chip side. Market cap and volume seems to be stagnant over the last 7 days, although the volume looks, fairly good if you zoom out here over the last few months. It looks like we're still holding a strong amount there. So volumes are still here. Interest, of course, like we're talking Azuki, Bored Apes. There's a lot of interest still around. All right, I'm hoping the BlackRock ETF NFT is not on here, and I hope that project got sent straight to hell. And did we ever even follow up on that shit? Did OpenSea say anything about having like I don't want to call it a scam, but just a low effort Anon project on the front page featuring?
I haven't seen anything. Seems like it may have been swept under the rug, but we should definitely follow up on it.
All right, Azuki, number one. So again, we're talking on whether Bored Ape can have a competitor here. At least in this environment, Azuki is doing it here over the last 24. Then you have BAYC, Beans, Mutant Apes, DeGods, Captains, Wrapped Punks, Miladies, Utility Wen, and Clone X, and that's over the last 24 hours. I do want to check out Utility Wen here in just a moment. Let me see.
Got to do it. I mean, with a name like that, how do you ignore?
You can't. You legitimately can't. So I'm clicking into it. Do we lose it?
Flubberoonie putting his money where his mouth is, where his keyboard is, saying he's going to throw 0.1 ETH into an NFT Live raffle if he's wrong. So y'all better remember this. Let's keep him accountable here. He's predicting that by September, is that by the beginning of September or the end of September, Flubberoonie, or September 15th? He's saying Elementals floor will be below 1 ETH by September, and it'll put 0.1 ETH into a raffle.
All right, Utility Wen looks like a Moonbird's derivative project, or just birds. I mean, it looks like a Moonbird, to be honest.
Is this a comment on Moonbirds?
God, you guys are so woke. My God.
It's got 16,000 followers on Twitter. Jesus. Y'all serious?
Is this showing the power of Moonbird's culture? That the counterculture derivative drop is doing strong volume? All right. I'm trying to figure this out. folks. I am.
Clicking links over here. Don't be like us. Wow, what a website.
Dude, we go from like one of the dopest drops that we've seen. Like by all accounts, the Azuki drop has been well pulled off. Yeah, at least generating hype before the mint.
We're bipolar though, and we also we're masochists. We actually hate ourselves. So as self-loathing NFT collectors, it's also incumbent upon us every episode to make sure that we take a deep dive into the gutter and make sure that we're doing well.
I'm going to wax poetic to you here. The owls of utility Wen are not what they seem. They're an allegorical representation of 4 different groups within the NFT community. Can you guess what those groups are? As Ben.eth holds the space. I hate it here. Still. Can you guess?
Nope, I don't care. I don't care that much. They're trying to fake you into thinking this is deep, and it's working. It's fucking working.
Is anybody in utility Wen? I'm about to close this poll for Azuki, but is anybody in utility Wen? You tell us.
I would think I think it's got to be a comment on the Moonbirds, but like maybe it's not. Maybe it's just an allegory about the space.
All right, ending the poll here. Do you think Elementals will hold value above 2 ETH? 80% of y'all said no. So let's wrap the Azuki piece up and move into heavy metals here. I mean, these are 2 really big events in the ecosystem, man. This is really, like, they have implications for the short term, long term, but more so in the short term for our space. If both of these are pulled off, it's really bullish heading into summer. Like it just is. So if heavy metals can pull off a simple, addictive game that people want to come back to, if they have something up their sleeve with ApeCoin, if the heavy metals do good volume and, you know, increase in price, all these different things, like, great. And if Azuki doesn't have this massive other side, like botched mint, that's also, I mean, a really good indicator for where we're headed. What's the last biggest event that you can remember in NFTs, like specifically related to an NFT collection?
Well, there's been quite a few. There's definitely been a lot of Yuga stuff. There's been a lot of Azuki stuff, a lot of Oni Force stuff. The Truth Labs thing, I've actually been playing this. So like we really haven't covered this, but when like the application and the announcement for the Goblin Town expansion came out, that was quite a moment that got a lot of attention and interest. And I've actually been watching this and putting in bids and getting a few of these offer letters for that. So, oh shit, I got
Gifts a Millionaire on the show.
Dude, I got 9 of them now. Holy shit.
Tell me what this is again.
I didn't realize I had that many. Damn.
All right, we're gonna do a Yuga Labs dump here in just a second.
Here, I just shared it. If you want to pull this up real quick. These are the acceptance letters for the expansion project for Goblin Town.
Got it.
So apparently I got 9 of these now. So I'm in this.
You were placing bids basically?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's different like rated NFT like part of the collection here? Okay.
Yeah, I guess they're gonna be different ratings. Yeah, there's that. Ether. I don't know. Then there's been a bunch of trash like Boring Punks.
Okay, so the idea, so this was back to the collection that, and let me make sure I play this with the music because it's really a good ambiance. So if you're down bad, you essentially get put into what, a whitelist? Is that what we were covering?
Yeah, kind of.
That's actually big brain though. I actually like this.
Look,
good luck with it.
There's creativity.
Yeah,
we like creativity. I do.
Dude, you can't fade Goblin Town and the team behind Goblin Town on like their creativity. They have been super creative with the stuff that they're bringing in. So that's like one thing you can't really get on them on.
I did not realize I was that big into this project, so I got 9 acceptance letters. Wish me well, fam. Smash the like for me putting all of my ETH on the line again, just to see. Who knows?
Just when he thought he was out, they bring him right back in. All right. Well, while Gifted pours his entire wallet into Big Dot Inc., we will continue. All right, this is going to be a Yuga Lab show update. We're going to touch on heavy metals, but there was a lot of updates here around special counsel. This was pretty cool. Again, the big three, I believe, is on ESPN or one of the major networks. But apparently 3 players, Nick Young, Isaiah Austin, Elijah Stewart, 4, and Jordan Crawford are taking BAYC to the court in the big three. You can see where they have the actual apes on their jersey. So this was in one of the most interesting leagues right now is the big three, with all those like old school players that apparently play pickup. So it's pretty big. You like this? Is this a nothing burger?
Well, it's not a nothing burger, but it's kind of close. But it's interesting to see if Bored Apes is also going to be kind of pushing into sports too, which again, like, I don't think it's bad. I just don't know that like Bored Apes is like Gutter Cats is like more of a sports community, but I'm sure there's lots of overlap, right? Like there's nothing wrong with getting exposure to other communities outside of Web3. I'm all for that in general. So that's why I like it. But is this like, I don't know, like is there more of a strategy beyond just like, hey, people like sports? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I don't know if it's something that Bored Ape essentially like spearheaded. I think these guys are just holders.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Then fuck yeah, that's dope. Love it.
I saw a pretty funny tweet that got my gears moving in my head about counterculture versus like how fast I guess Bored Ape moved from counterculture to kind of like the overall like we sold out essentially, like that's how the IPs looked at, because initially it was the counterculture, but now we're like the big bad baddies or something like that in space. That I think there is some truth to it. Like you almost don't even look at Bored Ape anymore as like that counterculture piece. I thought that was a pretty good take. They move very quickly into like 100 ETH category, and then it's like you're not really punk rock at that point.
It's interesting, man. I think if you make the comparison to the music industry, a lot of people have always, like consumers have always had that take of like, oh, they fucking sold out my favorite band. They used to be better, like blah, blah, blah. But most musicians, they just want to get to a point that they're able to make a living doing it. And like, whatever you say selling out is, like, doesn't really matter that much to a lot of, like, yes, there's some like really cheesy shit where they start doing stuff just for the money, just for the likes, whatever. But also understand that like if you're going to do this as a profession, it is a business. And so like I don't know, I don't when I was like maybe 13, 14, 15, I probably would have been like, oh yeah, these people fucking sold out or whatever. And then when I actually understand like the world and business a little bit more, I understand like, hey, these are people trying to like be professional artists, and like I don't really fault people. So if like, yeah, maybe they lost some of that initial sort of like grunge of just being like a bunch of dudes in a fucking basement. But that's because they made it out of the basement and they're trying to create like the future of gaming. Do you know what I mean? Like, are you going to hold that against them? I mean, to me, hopefully they always remember, you know, some of that grungy origin story, you know, like where they came from type of thing. And you hope to see that. And so if they completely forget that, then yeah, call them out, hold them accountable to that. But like just being mad at people for getting success, I think is stupid.
It seems to be that all those stories have things in common though, with there always being critics, right? Like there always will be. So are punks still counterculture?
Well, they're owned by Yuga. Yeah. So didn't they sell out, bro? Didn't they literally sell out?
Did they not literally sell out? I think the individuals that rock punks to this day, I think represent probably a more hardcore like Web3 community. I really do. I think that those people likely have been in the space a little bit longer, like just off the mere fact that the original holders were probably getting these. And when were punks launched? 17?
17. So yeah, 2017 through 2018. So,
I think the guys rocking that are a little bit. What's up?
Yeah, like 2018, maybe even to 2019. That's when like the OGs would have gotten in.
The dirty little secret about all this is like a lot of ape holders suck. Like I met some ape holders at NFT NYC. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, bro. You know, it's true. It's really true. You know, let's be honest. Like we're both OG apes. Like I don't have one right now, but I still got a lot of Yuga assets. But like I got mine when they minted. You know, like for $700. Right after they minted. I was in the whole time until literally like a month ago or a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. We are both OG apes. I've been to all the conferences. I've met them. So as much as we love that community and like care deeply about what Yuga's doing and all this shit, like the honest truth is a lot of the people in the community are fucking, they're just like not cool people. They're trashy. But then it's like, if you're being honest about that, so many people in the NFT community are like that. Like a lot of the influencers, like I'll say this again, like I don't give a shit. Like, you know, most think what you want about me, but most of the influencers that I like, quote unquote influencers, the degens that have massive followings that sit behind PFPs online tweeting all day, the ones that I've met in real life are not people I would ever want to have a beer with or like hang out with. They just aren't. Like I meet them, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It feels like we're complaining about like these large profiles, but it really is the truth. It's like why is the dichotomy the suckiest people, you know, are the ones with the biggest following, where everyone's kind of like showing fake love and all this stuff like to these people, but the algorithm
supports trolls.
Yeah.
Like what makes you successful on Twitter and on the internet does not necessarily make you like successful socially.
Yeah.
As a functional operating human being. And that's just what it is, man. And again, unfortunately, it's like that's part of life. Like you got to understand now these people and the weird dichotomy or the part of that is that a lot of those people, because they've always been losers, like to a degree, like, you know, whatever it is, they now take this taste of power, this influence that they have, and they mishandle it or they use it in really shitty ways because it's kind of like vengeance, right? It's kind of like, hey, I've never been respected and now I've got all these followers, look at me. And so that kind of explains a lot of the behavior that you see that's just trashy. But
I hate to get like super negative with it too, right? Like I almost want to flip this and be like, who are your favorite follows, right? In BAYC, but
Black
also
Dave.
on Twitter. Like, yeah, agreed.
Cas Vegas.
I think the Baron and his team are OG Apes as well, and they're doing some really cool stuff. Like
Jeff Nicholas.
There's cool. Was one that follow that I really like as well.
Yeah, Lindsey Burns and the Warps crew. Like there are legit people in the community. Don't get us wrong, but we can't also just ignore that there's some like
make punching people in the face great again. All right, I'm going to. That's a great comment, DP. I'm gonna give you a quick update here because there's like a lot of stuff happening in a short amount of time. So I want to give you this valuable info. So the BAYC Council is having a heavy metal Q&A space. So obviously, heavy metal coming out in 3 days. So I'm going to drop this. So, hey, Apes, Doggos, HVs, questions around what Forge is and how to play. We'll be hosting a space with Everyday Zucchini on Wednesday to address questions from the community. So this is important. This is important. Spencer Tucker is, I believe, the gaming officer, so chief gaming officer at Yuga Labs. So this is one I'm tuning into. Really excited for that. And then there's another space around the special council election as well. That's going to be today at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So two big spaces, in my opinion, within the Yuga Labs ecosystem that you guys should be paying attention to. The special council voting has been going well. Like, I love the activity around that DAO stuff, that DAO just info and kind of community engagement. So that's good. I did have 2 other threads from Zeneca, had a really long take, but it was a good read, as well as this Cirrus take saying Machi had dumped 39 apes, I'm assuming on Blur. And that was like one of the largest dumps of BAYCs we've seen in a while. So I wouldn't call everything happening again in Yuga right now negative, and I wouldn't call it positive either. We're in this really volatile state with what's happening within Yuga right now, and I don't know. I think we're going to look back at this time, and it's going to be a very complex situation that we find ourselves in with right before heavy metal launch, special council elections got super fudded out. BAYC's dumping to 35. Like, hopefully we.
What did I
say?
What did I say? I said that they'd probably dip to 30 or just below 30. We'll see. But like, short term momentum is still going downward. And it's specifically because of like what happened with Machi and the way that you can now manipulate these like when you got enough volume on these collections, and then you've got the Blur and these different tools where everybody can buy and sell super fast. Like, you can kind of like, I don't know, man. It's we talk about the gasoline either way, right? It's just like when you get momentum going one way, it can fucking fly in a certain direction.
I think what most NFT folks weren't prepared for was like the fake floors that would exist. I know that they existed in the same in technically the same sense on OpenSea, but it's just that on steroids when you kind of have these financial products where you're looking at almost a trading desk when you look at Blur. So I think that has been tough to watch. All right, last piece here on BAYC. Ape Fest. Nothing officially announced, but NFT Evening feels good about their sources, apparently. Because Ape Fest is moving to Miami. We know that. We definitely heard that through the grapevine. But they even announced like some specific pieces here. So like, let me get into this.
This is just straight up the Yuga show today, by the way. So welcome, everybody.
What?
If you're just joining to the Yuga show.
The more I need a more Like, I need that meme. I need it up.
Yeah.
We spent like 30 minutes on Azuki, folks. So if you're not feeling the BAYC vibes, just go back and listen to us talk about Azuki. Ape Fest, couple details here that we need to hit. What NFT Evening is basically saying they're hearing is there's potentially going to be an announcement about a Miami-based social house inspired by the renowned Soho House concept. Additionally, collaborations with industry giant Epic Games to further strengthen the NFT gaming ties there with BAYC. 2 potential periods have been identified to assist holders in planning. The first option is between October 25th and 30th. Which I believe was around the same Ape Fest time frames last time. I actually got it hanging on my wall. October 31st to November 6th, 21. Take me back. Or November 30th to December 3rd, leading up to renowned Art Basel. So some updates there on the Ape Fest that we've been awaiting. Everyone's just moving away from NYC, man.
It's because it's always been overrated. Man, come on. Like
True.
I feel like I'm wearing my Marty hat today and being kind of fuddy in the last 15 minutes, just being honest. But like New York's fun for a weekend here and there, but it's just not. There's so many other cool places to go explore where you don't have the same congestion, gross, like grimy issues that you have in New York, and with the overpriced everything. I don't know, man. There's just a lot of dope places other than New York. And so I'm really excited to see NFTs starting to explore other opportunities and places. Like that's why I think Marfa's dope, man. Like I want to try and make it out there. I don't know that I will this year, unfortunately, because I feel like I already kind of missed the window on trying to book. But also Cam Taylor kind of agreeing with us here, saying bake community vibes, generally speaking, is not what it used to be. Frankly, not something I would be proud to be part of because there's so many questionable people rocking apes now. All right, and more anecdotal evidence. Buying opportunities, though, maybe. Quantum Variant saying the amount of people buying back into apes is large too. So, I mean, that's my hope. I do want to buy back an ape still, despite what we're saying, despite not liking some of the people in the community. I still want to be part of it. By the way, the Epic Games thing was the thing that really stuck out to me with these sort of like hints at what might be coming with Ape Fest. Because Epic Games has been all over everything. They also were just at Cannes for the Cannes Lions Festival with Lego, talking about their metaverse. Epic Games is doing freaking everything right now with a bunch of big potential projects, huge projects in Web3. Super bullish on everything Epic Games.
Yeah,
which is also
I would love to get
Rocket
Sweeney
League.
on. Yeah, I'd love to get Sweeney on to talk about this stuff, or at least somebody from the Web3 department of whatever they're doing. So, Left Actors House saying Los Angeles for life. Quantum Variant saying the amount of people buying back into apes is large too, like you said. Man, I really think the spotlight is on you when you have a situation where the floor is at like 35 and it was a high of 150 or something like that. Like all of your warts start to come out, and I don't think that this is a new phenomenon. What we're seeing with BAYC, I think it's just being exposed now. Like this is what kind of always was there, but it was glossed over because you had all this positive momentum. So I still see a lot of really cool people. Maybe it's because I curate my fucking Twitter following list, right? I'm probably unfollowing a lot of the people that I don't like rocking BAYCs, but I see a lot of people that were here in 21 still on my timeline. So, I'm again, we're super bullish long term. Again, we got totally derailed by a couple different conversations around BAYC, which makes sense in where we stand. But heavy metal release on the 29th was some of that topip.
3 days. It's gonna be a crazy week. Yeah,
I'm expecting some more announcements. To be honest, I really am.
Well, as soon as we shut down this show, that's when you could drop some big news. That's how this goes. We should actually go check in on their Twitter right now and see if we catch anything in the last 10 minutes here. Also, is it possible to create temporary links for Restream? Like is it possible to just drop one in the chat and just be like, yo, anybody wants to just come and like shoot the shit with us for the last 10 minutes?
Yeah, we could potentially do that, but we'll need to refresh the link that we have that you use every day.
Okay.
Why do we have somebody that's trying to come up?
Well, I know Left Action House has been wanting to come on the show, but we can just organize that better because
we should.
But I thought it could be fun to like throw like mix things in, just like if you ever just shared out a link, it's like, hey, somebody, like everybody just jump in, see if we can get people just for fun, shits and gigs, man. I don't know.
Dude, I have not been following the Ben.eth stuff at all, like, because it just really sends me off an edge. But like, I was looking for any type of breaking news as we wrap up this show, and something like, man, they're dealing with like, and there's video captured of the latest spaces basically where there's like literally racist and
words and stuff. Yeah. That's why I
stay
away from this shit, man.
But that's like I mean, you already knew he's a god, like a fucking grifter and everything like that. But that to me is like taking it to a whole nother level. Like, That dude needs to be fucking canceled yesterday. So I don't know what we can do on Twitter, folks, but we need to really like, again, being a dude who's like a grifter and man, just I kind of like I'm tripping over my words just because I don't know what I want to say about this situation. So I'm not gonna.
How do you feel about cancel culture, Q?
But some people like that is totally like off the fucking rails. Like you want to give money to this guy, fine. You know, with a chance of being one of the first in, and you can flip it, and most people are going to get wrecked. You have to know this right off the bat. Whatever. Like I'm not going to mess with it, but whatever. But you start throwing out like the amount of like racially charged statements that I just heard in 10 seconds of turning that on is wild. Dude, yeah.
Anyway, fun stuff.
Other fun stuff, Gift Ed. You're gonna love this. Bankrupt FTX says they have recovered another $7 billion in liquid assets. That couch is huge.
That couch is the biggest couch ever, and don't you love to see it? It just makes no sense, though. Also, like we have to point out how crazy that is. Like sometimes you just read a headline and just kind of take it for granted and you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, we know that there's a lot of money that was like lost. But I can't think of ever in my life that people just remembered where they stashed 7 billion. And it's actually closer to $15 billion now that they just like, oh yeah, it's over here. Make it make sense, because that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Like other than like our government recently like $6 billion like accounting error where they didn't actually send out the reinforcements that they thought that they did, but they already figured out. But they already figured out like, hey, we didn't send this over here, like whatever. We're talking about more money than our government. We're talking about $15 billion. That some fucking kid is just like, oh yeah, it's over here.
Yeah, dude, so just to be clear, this is all like accounting situations where they're able to kind of go through the records and like either find a wallet that was, or find like a misrepresentation of what was sent versus, or what was spent versus what was, brought in. Like that's all this
it's all shady and weird. Wild. And I think it's directly tied to the recent, like we recently saw that they started dropping charges. We haven't really covered that here. They started dropping charges against SBF, which I was saying the one thing that we need to pay attention to know how shady this whole thing was is whether or not he actually ends up doing any hard time. If all of his charges get dropped, that's a signal that all this shit was a fucking psyop and like coordinated. And recently they started dropping charges against SBF. And I haven't seen nearly enough people talking about that. Because it doesn't actually make sense. Like that headline doesn't make sense. That you just found $7 billion more dollars on top of the 7 billion and then the 1 billion and then the other 1 billion. You don't just misplace $7 billion, bro.
Yeah. They said they were using like personal QuickBook accounting. Like that's what they were doing for one of the largest exchanges in the world. Like that's how bad their accounting was.
It was bad accounting, but that was also by design. Like you don't misplace $7 billion with some bad accounting.
Yeah. No, I feel that. All right, let's finish out with some potentially positive news. That's going to be the heavy metal piece. I love the question here. Quantum Variant saying, will the Yuga heavy metal game take Azuki's thunder? So I would say no. I think like they have a relatively robust ecosystem right now. They clearly got a bunch of energy around the project and I'm referring to Azuki here. And it's happening before the Forge event goes live. So I think that this all happens, pre obviously Heavy Metal Forge coming out, and it comes off hopefully without a hitch But as far as the energy and the amount that I think it's going to be a 2 ETH. I really do. It's going to sell out at 2 ETH.
It might, well, especially if it's only closer to 5K. I don't know. It's still confusing their supply because that was apparently there's conflicting information there. But yeah, especially if it's not 10,000 of them, then I would definitely agree. I think this is where you start to see, you know what, regardless of what we think about Zagabond, which is not great, I think that this is where you start to see bifurcation and diversification in multiple different massive communities that have entropy existing. I really think that like Azuki is like the counter to Bored Ape in the West is like a real thing. Like, you know, people will be like, oh, the Asian narrative is overhyped and blah, blah, blah. And maybe it's not like as fast moving or as big in the short term as some people think it is. But that doesn't, to me, like, it doesn't change the fact that everybody has been wanting to know what's the next Bored Ape. Azukis want to be the next thing. They've got the momentum. They're now doing crazy shit and they're going head to head this week. And I think that the entropy is going to be there now where you're going to have two different giant collections that are doing like big things, commanding their own spheres of influence that may or may not overlap in different ways. But I think that's a good thing probably for the entire space, right? To have more than just Yuga and Bored Apes propping up what's happening. So
I honestly vibed 100% with the take that this is going to push Yuga more than it's going to like hurt like the floor prices or anything like that. Like maybe it's overthinking it a little bit, but I really do think that competition, you know, is going to make these projects better. So I mess with that.
As much as I am in the camp that I think WAGMI is by and large just hopium, you know, COVID hopium, there's part of the WAGMI idea that's just like, if you're in the space long enough trying to learn and finding your tribe and stuff, that like you will get something out of it, right? Not everybody's going to become a millionaire. Not everybody's going to become a famous artist. You know, it's not that. But if I was going to reinvent what does WAGMI mean to like a more relatable, real thing, grounded idea, it's that like in Web3, there's a lot of opportunity for everybody. It is an open playground that anybody can get in. There's never been more opportunities for anyone in the world to find a way to get into like being a tech startup or working in a dope community of like smart people and like creating interesting things and owning assets on chain. And what's the point of all that? Why did I go down this rabbit hole? The point is that part of that whole WAGMI idea is the concept of a rising tide raises all boats or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I think is potentially good about this competition. It's like, yeah, we need more. We can't just be a monolith. The attack vector is singular and too obvious.
It's a really
when you start to have multiple different monoliths, you start to have multiple different pillars of this whole industry popping up, these quote unquote blue chips, but they're more than just a PFP. They're actual companies, right? Conglomerates, giant ecosystems with their own entropy, with massive global communities doing crazy things with huge IP. Once you get to that point, we're in a much stronger position. And I think to your point, that like that does drive renewed interest back into Bored Apes. It drives renewed interest back into the whole space at large, right?
The thing I have to caution myself with when we have this discussion is being reflexive to floor price, right? Like Azuki is now at 16 ETH, which means it's a way better company than when it was at 4. Like that's where I have to really hold myself off because none of the fundamentals should have changed in that time, right? Like, what are we doing? What, you bringing DBs into this? What's going on? I just don't want to be reflexive here, but it's really cool to see another project get that large. To your point, we don't have to like have this whole feeling as a space that if Bored Ape messes something up, that now for the next month or two, like this is gonna suck, you know, like until whatever another activation that they have. Because I think in that first generation, we thought there were other blue chips, and it's very clear that I don't think we have. much, if any. Azuki's getting in that category, but again, I don't want to get into a thought process of saying floor price equals blue chip. Like I mean, technically by definition, I think there are like some arguments to say like floor price does equal whatever that blue chip status is, right? Like who's a blue chip that doesn't have a good floor price?
Yeah, the term blue chip is problematic, like the term metaverse, and that like there's no one clear definition for NFTs yet, and we're actually repurposing it and bastardizing it from traditional finance in the stock market. So it's like you have this legacy baggage and definition of what a blue chip means, which is what a lot of people say when they're like, there's no such thing as a fucking blue chip yet, because a blue chip is a specific thing with a specific definition that is laid out from the legacy finance world that we're trying to appropriate and apply to NFTs, but without an existing time frame of more than a couple years. By definition, there can be no blue chips. We are bastardizing it, trying to create our own version of blue chips, which is largely based upon volume and floor price right now. Mm-hmm. But well, like, is blue? Yeah, should we be calling it blue chip? Around.
Yeah,
should we be calling it blue chip? Probably not, because it's again, it's a bastardization.
Yeah, we're getting down a rabbit hole, but I wonder if blue chip isn't used in other sectors as well outside of finance. But I'm reading out a couple definitions saying that the blue chips typically have a market capitalization in the billions. So there's a one specific feature that you can point to. So I think Yuga's market cap is in the billions, is it not? It should be more.
Well, yeah.
8 points not.
Just in terms of their total volume and all that stuff, yeah, it's way past $1 billion.
All right. So I want to quickly look at this here. Obviously, this came out. One thing I forgot about this trailer as well, GIF, is it's not just Legends of Mara, but you can see in the back half of this trailer that I've got pulled up here that there was that anime connection there too, right? Like that, you can see the art is clearly in one direction. So really looking forward to that. Obviously, we're in that anime meta, what if you want to call it that. Also, other space I'm going to drop in the chat as well for you guys. So I actually listened to this, and I'm going to re-listen to it, but I listened to it on the way down to the Outer Banks on Thursday. I actually really enjoyed it. One thing I pulled from this was Orangey, I believe is his name. The video that we watched the other day was actually in that space, and he was basically saying that heavy metals are going to each have their own energy source or energy capacity based on that ranking. So there's like a large amount of tiers that we've seen. You can see a bunch of them there. Each one, he's guessing, is going to have different amounts of energy that need to be output on the land. So you can see some of that there. Everyone's kind of prognosticating on what you can do on the land. There's like chessboards and conveyor belts and gardens, all these different type of things. So there's a lot of creativity involved. It looks like there's going to be a voting system as well. So there's a lot of things happening here, obviously all at once. But do you like this kind of game mechanic that you're seeing here on the screen, or do you have any takes?
I just want to get my hands on it and actually play it and see if it's fun, right? If like doing the thing and doing the tasks just feels repetitive and not rewarding, then like that's a problem, right? They've got to make you feel progress. They've got to make it like exciting to take these sort of repetitive tasks, and they've got to make it social. And I think that they know all of this. What I love about it is that like it's incorporating a few different elements of different types of games. Like it looks like it's got kind of puzzle, world builder, fighting, social. It's got a lot of things to it. And so that's what I'm really excited about. Is to me, this is like going to be some really interesting hybrid game. And then the fact that it's all being designed in a really creative, mobile friendly way is huge. So playing this on a mobile device, on a tablet, I want to see what that's like. how fun is it is just going to be really important. And then how are they tying in the incentives, the rewards, the progress, and the social aspects? I don't know. There's going to be a lot to this, though.
Yeah.
I don't think this is like just a simple little puzzle game. I don't think it's just a simple little fight. Like, I think this is going to be pretty interesting. I think there's going to be a lot to it.
Yeah, I fashioned myself a gamer, and one thing I can say from playing Dookie Dash is that game was relatively addicting. You like wanted to play it again, right? Like you wanted to, you almost got to that one spot, and it was based on a whole mess of features, right? Like, oh, I want the major key, or I want to be in the top 1%. So like it kept you coming back, which I think is the secret sauce. Even if it does come off kind of simple, if they could figure out some mechanic where you need to go back, and I want to highlight this.
Yeah, the seasons is going to be a big part of that.
I think the most addicting piece of this is going to be the evolution piece and it being tied to your land. So one thing I want to point out real quick, speed up. That's a very good indicator there that there's going to be some type of ape coin play potentially in this. So speeding up what you're doing on your plot is probably going to happen, people. That's good news for ape coin price as well. Like ape coin has been going up a good amount here in the last, I would say, 7 days. And we've seen some good action on that. I think the evolution piece is going to be the most addicting for people. I think you're going to, if you do things a certain way, you're going to see a lot of really cool results onto your heavy metal and onto whatever you can evolve into. And that's the farming aspect that's going to be potentially a little bit repetitive, but it's going to be addicting because if you do X thing, you're going to get a better output, if that makes sense. That's what'll get people consistently going back. And I think that that's where I'm really placing my money is people are going to want to go back to evolve into something really cool. Like think about a Pokemon, for example. They want the best and they want it to be really, cool and all this stuff. So I think that's where it's the secret sauce is.
I agree. And that's the progression aspect of it, right? And I think, we have those sort of blueprints of what these mech suits in the Evo 2 looks like, and they look fucking cool. Like I think the evolutions are going to be dope.
Yeah, you're right. DP saying simple yet addicting is the best formula for the first few titles. Agreed. Do you think that this will cross over to the other side? Well, eventually the mechs will. One of the things that the other side or the other Space FM guys were saying was that codas are potentially going to be used for travel. Like we've seen a couple codas like pick up apes, but they think that the mech suits are actually going to be used in the other side game, and that's what is eventually leading to the other side. So think of this as like a mini game that you're playing now that will have effects in the other side down the line. And that's where I think, again, that evolution piece is going to bring people back. Because imagine getting the dopest mech suit for the other side, right? So I think there's going to be a strong crossover here. This is a game that is centered around evolving, and you're going to be using that asset in the other side, in my opinion.
Yep. I mean, it just looks like it's going to look dope on a tablet and it might be fun. And yeah, the incentives are going to make it sticky. So I think this is huge, man. I'm expecting this to be big.
The part that I haven't wrapped my mind around is this part, right? Like the PvP aspect. Like I think we see all the farming, right? We see all of the potential things you could potentially do on the plot, but the battling, I have no idea what that looks like.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be kind of like relatively simplistic mini quests. Like the Pokemon battling was not that complicated.
No.
If you actually think about it. Like it was pretty straightforward. Like as your heavy metal progresses, it powers up, it might get 1 or 2 new abilities. And then you might have power-ups that come from ApeCoin too, or that you earn, that you can throw in right to the mix. But I think it's going to be relatively straightforward. Like I don't think it's going to be crazy complicated.
Yeah, I can't see the battle mechanic being like ridiculous. That one thing people were throwing out is like potentially tower defense games, as well. So
Command and Conquer, bro.
Command and Conquer, yeah. So okay, so I mean we don't really have an announcement since this trailer dropped. Me and Giff put our money where our mouth is right now, and we're sitting on Heavy Metals, expecting Yuga to come out with like I think at least one other trailer, and then another piece detailing what you can earn in this game.
Come on, Yuga. do something. Poke him with a stick. Somebody. Yeah. We'll see. We got how many heavy metals did we have between us, Q? We got 5 in our DAO.
Yep.
In our DAO. And then I got
I
2.
hesitate to call it that. In our shared wallet, yes.
Yeah, it's not a DAO. And then I got 2 more in my own personal. And you got what, 2, 3?
I think 3.
So we got 10. We got 10 between us.
That's actually a lot of heavy metals, if we're being honest. Like even the other space guys were saying, "Oh, we got 6, we got 7 here." It's actually a lot of heavy metals. The social aspect of this too is, I don't want to continue going down a rabbit hole, but the social aspect is like the voting was shown on the screen, how that all plays in together. I think it'll probably be where you like you'll probably get rewarded for visiting other plots is essentially what that probably looks like. So I could visit your plot. If I vote you up, I like fill a quota, and that's what that looks like.
That makes sense.
So
I could see it.
You could see it. All right, folks. We have gone an hour 40 today. We appreciate you sticking all the way through. If you were right there in the beginning with us, thank you so much. Our vibe, our tribe, of course. Yuga's at 5, Billy. Okay.
So it's a lot. But you know what?
Lot.
Honestly, even that much, it can just disappear under a couch cushion at the FTX office in the Bahamas. If you just if you just kind of like, you just scoot your butt over, reach back in there, you might pull out $7 billion.
Man, this Azuki Mint's going to be wild to watch in real time. Like, tomorrow, if it goes off without a hitch, I'm going to be so shocked. If it's just like, oh, yeah, everybody got some mint in 0.5 seconds. You got a 10-minute window. Everyone's feeling great. You already know someone's not going to feel great. Public is already going to be pissed that they can't get in.
That's what I was saying, bro. There's got to be people that are going to be very upset about this. But you know what? I feel like it's almost... It will be very interesting to see if there's like no negativity and FUD that comes out about this, the difference between this versus Bored Apes, right? Because Bored Apes gets raked over the coals for every little thing that doesn't go perfectly right. Like they get fudded so fucking hard. And like, you don't see a lot of FUD on Azuki. It almost like we were reading that thread earlier that was like super simped out thread, and it like almost felt like toxic positivity, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see if anybody is getting burned and if there's any sort of negative sentiment, or if everybody's just like, oh my god, everything's amazing Azuki, because everybody's just trying to ride that wave and like, I don't know.
No, I mean, listen, they are riding a momentum wave right now. It's just facts. So
and that's that's the difference in sentiment that like the market does, right? Like Bored Apes is on the way down and Azuki is on the way up, and you can feel the difference in the sentiment in the communities, right?
100%. It leaks into everyday life.
Everything.
Yeah. And the question you have to ask yourself again is, are the fundamentals changed? And it's, if Bored Ape was at 20, would I feel different about the fundamentals than when they're at 35? Not really. That really has no effect on at least my outlook on what they're trying to do. So, lightning question then, okay? If you had to guess, is this going to go poorly or is this going to go well? Like, and I know that's super subjective when it comes to like, where's the line, but are we sitting here on Wednesday being like, that was fucking awesome, congrats Azuki, like you did a great job?
I okay. They recently have had outstanding execution. As an outsider who's just been watching, it seems like overall their execution has been very, very good. So I think that overall it's going to work out okay, probably. It's just very hard for me to see a world in which you are doing a massive mint with high costs within a super condensed time frame and trying to give value to each of these different like parts like the beans, etc., in like 10-minute increments. When you're talking about blockchain technology, like it's just really hard for me to imagine something not going wrong and that they don't have to
Okay.
delay
There's your answer.
something or give you a bunch of like come out with a bunch of apologies or make goods for certain people or something. Like they're probably gonna have to cover something up at the end of this to like fix something. But overall, I think it will probably turn out okay because their execution has been solid.
All right, there you go. I tend to agree with you. I don't think that this is going to be the smoothest launch the way that they've got it set up, but they're doing a great job. Hopefully, I'm wrong. All right, leave a like to support the NFT Live Cock Punch Relief Fund. More so just
I sold mine, by the way. I sold it for
Dude,
like
you're gonna have a great tax write-off this year.
15x loss. So you know what? Let's close. Here's some closure for any of the fans of the show. Any of you amazing people like Cam, Knox, Flubber, DP, Quantum Variant, Marty McFly, Choina, wherever you are, any of the homies that have been kicking it with us, sticking around, being part of this awesome community. First of all, we appreciate you. Here's some closure on my journey into the world of Tim Ferriss's Cock Punch, the legend of Cock Punch. I bought it here for shits and giggles while it was like just after mint when the secondary initially pumped. I did it for fun. I said, you know what? Fuck it. Let's YOLO. I bought one for like 1.65 ETH and I just sold it for like 0.14, 0.1. I don't know, like maybe 0.15.
Takes skill to do that.
Yeah, but like basically like, 10 to 15x loss I just took on my cock punch. So officially cock punched and I am out of that project. So yeah, leave a like, please, to donate to our Cock Punch Relief Fund because we actually need it. This isn't like it's a joke because it's funny because we do it for the lulz and like hope you learn from our exploits up here trying to entertain and learn together. But man, do we need it right now?
Gift's trying to pawn his investing processes on NFT Live, like just being fun. Just I don't know about that, man.
I mean, some of them I'm definitely doing for the entertainment of like, fuck it, we're doing it live. Like, then there's not a lot of strategy behind that. I'm not like taking my time to try and get a good entry. I'm just like, that's absolutely for the content.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, I've got the Wild Wild Web Twitter profile here. You guys, you need to be staying tuned for this because we're going to be doing a giveaway. It's likely going to be $50 in Ape coin. I'm going to post that live here in like the next 30 minutes. So please be tuned for that. I'd like to figure out how to, this is obviously going live on Twitter, but I'd like to give value back to the people that are showing up here every day. So I'd like to figure that one out. Maybe GIF, we'll touch on it after this episode is done and we could figure out the right way to do this giveaway. But stay tuned on the Wild Wild Web Pod Twitter profile, and we're going to launch that giveaway here in like the next 30 minutes. So appreciate y'all. Awesome all the way through. Our vibe, our tribe. Stay tuned tomorrow. Azuki, we'll see if
it's going to be a big week.
Bull or bear.
We're going to be covering it all, fam. And hang out with us. It's going to be dope. Our vibe, our tribe.
Love it. Peace out.